officially later in July. For now, well, gather round, because we have some conversations to have. Let's meet our players for the evening, shall we? Some faces you know, and some are joining us for the first time. Journeyman Vader, welcome to the show. I said, Journeyman Vader, welcome to the show.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. What's up?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Why don't you tell people who you are and what you do normally? We'll get into who you're playing in a bit.
I am Journeyman Vader. I am an occasional streamer on Twitch. I do a variety of games and try to focus on the world, the aesthetics, the journey, as I like to put it, of a game.
There's certainly a journey to be had here, and very, very gratified that you chose to take up arms for this adventure. I hope you have a lot of fun. Ready to get into it?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Intangible Hawk, welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do? We'll get into who you're playing in a little bit.
All right. Well, as Kit said, I am Tangible Hawk. I got brought into the community by one of my friends, one of the keepers, Triscare, and this is my first D&D game really ever, so I'm very excited to get started.
Well, this is certainly the most apropos place to start. They say you should always start at the very beginning, and we're taking a step back before that even. You ready to get into it?
Indeed I am.
Sibs143, is your mic working?
I'm gonna hope so.
Oof, that's loud.
Sorry.
No worries. Why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do around here? We'll get into who you're playing in a bit.
Can do. As mentioned, I'm Sibs. I'm a bit of a kind of combination of lurker and regular. And no, Gamzee, he had it right. They had it right. It's 143. I draw, I make props, I kind of just do a bunch of random things. I kind of lurk. If you ever need to shoot me a DM, feel free. Yeah.
You do some art, and we're going to be seeing some of Sib's art on the channel. In fact, I might do I might start doing a fan art compilation for our various Decisive Action shows to show during the break and what have you, and Sibs has a lot of that, so I might put that up. Are you ready to get started tonight?
Absolutely.
And last but certainly not least, Guy Gamzee, welcome to the show.
Howdy, howdy.
You're blowing out your mic, mate. There you go. You fixed it, whatever you did. Hi.
Hi.
You are something of a regular around here, but even so, tell people who you are and what you do.
I'm the bard in training, as people should know by now. If you don't, hi, the bard in training. I'm looking into getting into streaming again if other stuff doesn't start getting in my way, which it probably will, but we'll see. I can tell you now, my focus is going to be seeing how far I can push a game.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. I'm excited.
I hope so. Guy Gamzee is a staple in Waterdeep on Sunday nights, and is decided to throw his hat into the ring for Tomb of Annihilation on Monday nights as well. I am your Master of Ceremonies, your Game Master, Dungeon Master, Guild Master, and Trade Prince, the Shark-Eyed Kitsune, the Teller of Tales, and the Weaver of Mysteries, the Masked Bard. We always... Do you mind, Sibs?
Sorry, I just knocked something over.
Well, mute your mic next time. We always do things devoted to lore and story around these parts, and I've wanted to do Tomb of Annihilation for a while. It's been itching at me. We were actually supposed to, as of the live recording of this show, we were supposed to have been in Tomb for a couple of months at this point. But we had some players have to switch schedules. We had to get some art situated. I had other stuff come up. It's equally my fault as much as the players. And we're not going to be able to do Session 1 until mid to late July, but we can go ahead and talk about what we're going to be doing. if this is your first foray into Dice-Icive action, I call any tabletop-related thing Dice-Icive action something something or other. Crown of Fangs is my take on the 5th edition Tomb of Annihilation module, which means I'm playing it incorrectly. I'm going to be tweaking the module, I'm going to be hacking the game, I'm going to be enforcing rules as I see fit, changing the overall story, etc., etc. This is meant to give you something interesting to watch, to inspire you to tweak your own stories, and to show you a take on Tomb that you haven't seen before. It will hit the same story beats, it will have moments that are important, but it will also be more than just a Tomb of Annihilation story. It will be Dice-Icive action Crown of Fangs. It takes place in the Forgotten Realms of Faerun, in the Wizards of the Coast's own canon, and there are plenty of surprises in store. Now, I can tell you this, I have researched Tomb of Annihilation and will continue to do so week to week during my GM prep show, but my players have assured me that they are not familiar with Tomb of Annihilation and will be experiencing this for the first time. So, as ever, let's avoid story spoilers, but if you want to offer ideas, at least during this show, you're welcome to do so. During Decisive Action proper, generally speaking, chat can talk amongst themselves, but the players and I don't pay as much attention to it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Today is about questions and explanations, and chat is more than happy to be involved. With all of that in mind, let's get right to work. Tomb of Annihilation takes place in the jungle continent of Chult, far and away beyond the high walls of Waterdeep, Neverwinter, Baldur's Gate, and beyond. It is something of a mix between Jurassic Park, Tarzan, and King Kong. There is a great deal of themes that might be off-putting to some people. There is a strong religious element to Tomb of Annihilation. There is a strong cultural element to Tomb of Annihilation. There is a great deal of macabre situations, including but not limited to walking corpses, fanciful ghosts, and necromancy. Just to put all of that out there on the table right away. Now, tonight, the players and I are going to discuss how we want to frame this story, and if we must, put a rating on it in terms of content warning. If that rating is high enough to warrant it, we will begin every episode of Crown of Fangs with a disclaimer such that I just gave. But first, we need to discuss our players, 3 of which are not from the jungle continent of Chult, and 1 who will be arriving a bit later. Journeyman Vader, Sibs, and Intangible Hawk are all from or around Baldur's Gate, and it is there that we're going to start our explanations. There are some interesting characters in the forefront here. I think arguably only one of our 4 players is what I would call a standard Dungeons & Dragons adventurer. The others, well, you'll see. Let's jump right in. Vader, would you like to tell us about Brick?
Brick is a soldier. He is a member of the Flaming Fists in Baldur's Gate. But he's not like a typical soldier. He doesn't use an axe or a bow or any of that. He uses a gun.
So
gun he built and designed himself.
He's a tinker.
Yes.
You threw out a lot of very useful terms there, and I would like to take a moment to define them, if that's all right. The Flaming Fist is an organization, a lawful good organization, under Torm, I think? Or is it Helm? Who's the god of the Flaming Fist? Chad. It's either Helm, Tyr, or
Right.
Torm, and I don't remember which one.
The
Either way, they are a military faction of
Eltan.
Eltan, thank you. Wow, really? Of paladins, clerics, rangers, and general soldiers. I believe the word the Flaming Fist would use is purify, an area of chaos, evil, taint, etc. And sometimes that means orcs and trolls and goblins and undead and ghouls and vampires. And sometimes that means elves and gnomes and basically anything that's not a human or a dwarf.
Magic racists.
Yes. Now, as always, there are noble individuals within any organization, no matter how awful it is. And the Flaming Fist is far from awful. They're just a bit humanocentric and a bit zealous. Now, I'm curious, does Vader consider Brick to be a noble Flaming Fist member?
Yeah, he's definitely like
Go on.
he is very, I don't know about noble, but he does uphold their ideals.
Okay. So maybe not noble, but he is a Flaming Fist through and through.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate is a name that many people who may not be familiar with D&D may have heard of. There have been 2 games based around Baldur's Gate. There is a third coming, Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Icewind Dale, and then Baldur's Gate 3 coming out later in 2020 by Larian Studios. Baldur's Gate is a city. It is a city in the north of Faerun, I think. That is... It's not as rich as Port Nyanzaru. It's not as rich as Waterdeep. But it has its charms. And it is the set piece of many adventures, including the beginning of Tomb of Annihilation, Descent into Avernus, and many others. A very, very popular and well-known Dungeons & Dragons place, and the Flaming Fist have a lot of foothold there. They're the local constabulary within Baldur's Gate, and that could be a positive or a negative thing. Brick is a ranking member in the Flaming Fist, which means that Vader can pull on Brick's influence to get the Fist to do things that they may not do otherwise, for good or ill. Do you want to talk about the extent of that, or would you rather wait for the game?
I think I'd rather wait.
Okay. So, you chose a gunslinger, which is a special fan-made fighter archetype. You begin it at level 1 instead of level 3. And it focuses not only on range damage, but also on firearms. It has mechanics around firearms and using them. And yet, Brick is still the tank, which I find very interesting.
Yeah.
So this should be interesting. Do you want to talk a little bit about Brick's motivations, or is there anything else that you want to discuss about Brick in general?
I think... I don't think I have much more to say besides, he's here on orders, but he's definitely curious about Chult.
Sibs, do you mind? Sibs, do you mind?
Sorry. I can't believe it.
Thank you. So, there's our first contender. Our second one is... Are you playing Paranoid or Ren, Hawk?
I am playing Ren.
Ren Sparky Plicknick. And that is the last time I am ever saying this character's surname. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your character, Hawky?
Alright. Well, my character is very much, in some ways, a character that desires knowledge to know how things work.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not a character that necessarily thinks how that knowledge should be applied beyond just what he desires in the immediate foresight. Such as he's not researching like a cure for a disease because like, oh, this is going to help so many people. It's more of like trying to figure out how to do it just so he knows how it works.
Knowledge for the sake of knowledge.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
As my ideal even states, is a question of why he makes something is not nearly as important as how he makes something. Sorry, go ahead.
The topic of your alignment came up backstage. What you're describing is a neutral character.
Yes, that is... Yeah, that would be far more accurate.
What sets your character apart from the average D&D adventurer? I think your race, to start off, is a bit abnormal.
Mm-hmm. Well, to start with, as you said, my race sets me apart. You don't see many gnomes.
No.
And my character is very paranoid also, feeling worried about people wanting to go after him sometimes or steal his knowledge, his achievements to a degree, or to prevent him from doing what he thinks needs to be done at the moment to satisfy his interest or his desire at the moment.
And Sparky is fulfilling the wizard role in the party, but you're not playing a wizard, are you?
No, I am not. Instead, Sparky is playing as an artificer, who, best way to describe it, is someone who does magic through tools instead.
Yes. You are a caster. You have a very interesting toolbox of spells. You're the only arcane caster I know of that can cast Fireball and heal. So that's interesting. I didn't know artificers got a heal until I started looking into this class. But all of your spells come from, in a word, gadgetry.
Yes, exactly. So, whereas Cure Wounds for a normal character would be a magic spell, in my case, it would more be an actual, like, tool or gadget that I would set on someone and it would heal their wounds.
Well, it's still a magic spell. That's the thing about artificers. They infuse tech with magic, but instead of wiggling your hands and speaking backwards in Latin, you are more like pulling out shock paddles and shouting clear. The shock paddles are still magical, and you're still casting Cure Wounds. It's just the way that you're doing it.
Right, exactly. Right. Sorry, I described it poorly, but
no worries. That's what I'm here for.
But yes, exactly. And that's part of the reason why my character is so interested in knowledge, because that knowledge is what allows him to advance his profession even more.
And that knowledge...
Even his flaw.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go, by all means.
Oh. I was going to say that even in a way it plays into his flaw, to where he doesn't really think how things he makes or things he say will actually impact the scenario. So it could be he made a bomb and people staring at him asking why, and he's basically kind of asking why not.
Yeah. Which has plenty of strange and wonderful situations that Sparky could find themselves in. Interestingly enough, did we establish, I don't know if this has changed or not, and please correct me, players, Brick and Sparky are affiliated, I believe.
I believe so, yes.
Yes, last time I checked, that was still the plan.
Your old drinking buddies. Which is interesting, because Brick is also an inventor, just in a more, how would you say, structured way?
Mundane.
Mundane way? Alright, fair enough. And Milo Thatch over here in gnome form is going to be quite useful for the overarching story of Cholt, which we'll get into in a little bit. Our last Baldian character is something a bit altogether special. I've never seen a character like this in D&D, and I think you guys will be interested in seeing where this goes. I certainly am. Sibs, if you've got your mic situated sorted, why don't you tell us about Dr. Sue Lorelei?
Alrighty. Sorry about that. That was the dogs. But Dr. Sue Lorelei is actually, funnily enough, a bard. Her entire purpose for going to Cholt is to find a disease. Her practice is her life. How do I explain this?
Yet again, we're using third-party information here. There is a background in a third party, in fact, used as an exemplar for third-party backgrounds on the wiki of Doctor. It is the most in-depth background I've ever seen, and Sibs latched onto it in a way that I can only describe as familiar. The fact that Dr. Lorelei is a bard is much less important than the fact that their background is a doctor. Why don't you tell a little bit about what exactly this means for your D&D adventurer?
Sue Lorelei, everything for her is her practice. Everything from the personality trait to the flaw is involving the doctor lifestyle. Personality trait being, once body's hit the floor, my hands are moving, and how do you what? I'm trying to think if I should just explain all of these, but I don't know if I should.
It's entirely up to you. Why don't you explain at least what makes a doctor background different?
Well,
Vader, you're reverbing real hard, mate.
Yeah. At least in Dr. Zuli's case, they are under a stern promise that they cannot draw first in a fight. If they draw first in a fight, then that is it. They are no longer recognized as a doctor.
Dungeons & Dragons does two things very well: exploring dungeons and fighting dragons. When it comes to gaining power in Dungeons & Dragons, you do so through combat. You do so through fighting monsters. Most of your abilities are tuned to fighting monsters. Dr. Sue Lorelei can't fight.
She can defend herself, but she cannot start things. She also would personally prefer if she didn't have to end things in death either.
She has a Hippocratic Oath, which gives her a lot of benefits in many situations, up to and including getting around authority in a very bardic role in a party. But instead of "I seduce the guards," Dr. Sue Lorelei can say, "Get out of my way, that man is bleeding.
Get out of my way, I'm the doctor, I know what I'm doing, move."
Which is fascinating. And
I went to medical school. You can't count past 10.
Literally, Dr. Lorelei went to medical school.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to see if we wrote down the organization she's part of.
It was something about the Brotherhood of the Fountain or something like that.
I think it was Brotherhood of the Fountain of Life or something along those lines.
Yeah, it was Brotherhood of something, and the word fountain came up.
Something you guys made.
No, it was not.
Yeah.
No?
Wait, was it?
No, it's from the background, I think.
I'll have to do a little bit more reading and have to properly write that down. I thought
It's been a bit since we made this character. It's understandable.
Yeah.
The point is, this background is powerful. But not only do you lose the background, much like a paladin losing their spells if their alignment shifts, but if Dr. Sue Lorelei breaks their oath, not only do they lose their background, they can go to prison.
Yep.
And that's a whole other kettle of fish. So, basically, what we have here is a non-combatant D&D character. Now, is that to mean that Dr. Lorelei will never be in a fight ever? No. Is that to mean that Dr. Lorelei is going to skate through Tomb of Annihilation with no problems? No. It means if Dr. Lorelei wants to keep their practice and the substantial power that it wields, they need to play it as a doctor, and I put that challenge before Sibs, and Sibs effectively said, hold my beer. Dr. Sue Lorelei, without exaggeration, is the most original D&D character I have ever seen, and I'm very excited to see where this goes.
So am I.
You mentioned that you're traveling to Chult to cure a disease. Let's put a pin in that and circle back to it in just a little bit.
All right.
These are the characters that you will see first in Crown of Fangs. Brick, Sparky, and Dr. Sue Lorelei. But shortly into the session, as NPCs are being brought about, we have another rather special person. And I do emphasize person. Scratch.
Greeting.
Our fourth party member is the Tabaxi rogue, scratched face of a gold coin. You're not from Baldur's Gate, are you, Scratch?
No, certainly not. Not his cup of tea, nor his birthplace.
You come from the jungle. You have fun and games. You are from Port Nyanzaru and the continent of Chult.
I do not want to be like you, live like you, talk like you.
Well done, well done. Tell us a little bit about Scratch.
Scratch is the bastard child you kind of love. He works in Chult. Works as a guide. I say worked because of how monopolies and such works in Chult. But he still is a guide within Chult. If you come to him to be your guide, not only are you going to get a rather good tour of the city port Nanzaru, you might also get a little bit of a rip-off one. But, so is the territory. He's the type to abandon someone in the jungle if they make him angry.
He's also the type to avoid the jungle at all costs.
Yes.
Scratch is what I would call a coward. And that's okay, because it means that he can grow into bravery as the story progresses. Or not, depending.
Enters a dungeon. Loud noise. No, I say we leave right now. Fuck this.
You're Shaggy.
Yeah. Scratch, that was a rock fall. No, that was a fucking demon. We're out of here.
And Scratch will be serving as guide, and I like to, if the players are amenable to it, I like to have at least one player character who knows the ins and outs of a given location, if possible, and Gamzee has stepped up and allowed Scratch to be the everyman, I guess, the question answerer of the comings and goings of Port Nyanzaru and Chult writ large. This is our party. From tank to healer to wizard and rogue, we have some interesting faces, and I'm excited to see it. Let's talk a little bit about what story they're going on, shall we? Tomb of Annihilation is a story of... well, frankly, it's a zombie movie. There's a plague that is affecting people across the realm. There is a cure somewhere, supposedly, deep within the jungle. There's myriad obstacles in the way, plenty of Heart of Darkness getting lost along the riverside, and it all culminates in, minor spoiler, the slaying of a god. there's also dinosaurs. Really good music, super cool, interesting people, and, well, Artist Simber. And that is all I will say about Artist Simber. He gets his own notation.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I am very much intrigued to learn of this individual.
The players, the Baldian players, will be focusing on assisting one Syndra Sylvain, who is afflicted by this curse, yet connected enough to see to a solution. They will be taken from Baldur's Gate to Port Nyanzaru via teleportation, and from there, welcome to the jungle, and all points forward. Chult is run by the wealthy, the trade princes. They control everything, and as such have built a city to rival Waterdeep, if a bit inhospitable. There is anything to be found in Waterdeep. Well, that's true. In Port Nyanzaru, including danger. They breed dinosaurs for meat and livestock, as well as racing and pets. There's undead and strange ritual magics in all corners. There's, fine silk souks, quite literally, and daggers in the alleyway. Port Nyanzaru is where all of this is going to start. Well, once Scratch arrives. There will be a few minutes in Baldur's Gate, probably not too many, and to that end, we need to talk about the lives that these individuals are coming from. So, Brick, Sparky, Doctor, if I might take your attention for just a moment, let's talk about a day in the life of your characters. And really, we should start with the tank. Soldier Boy, Sergeant Holderheck?
Yep.
Is it Holderheck or Halderheck?
Holderheck.
Holderheck. Let's, you and I together, describe a day in the life of Brick. Do you live on a base?
Yeah, he does.
Okay. So you probably wake up to the morning clarion, calisthenics, breakfast, duty roster. Stop me if you disagree with something. You're a sergeant.
Yeah.
What special duties do you have within the Flaming Fist? Are you in charge of anything? Vader?
I'm here.
Is Brick in charge of anything? Hello?
Here.
Would you like me to come back to you?
Yeah.
Alright, no problem. No
Thoughts
problem.
are escaping me.
No problem. So, let's switch over to a day in the life of Sparky instead. So,
Alright.
You're not military.
No.
No. You are private industry. What do you do for a living?
Well, I admit that I tend to take on commissions that only actually interest me.
Right.
But there's at least enough word around that people know if they need something odd made or such. I at least am one of the candidates for it.
So you are not a wealthy gnome.
No, I am not very wealthy, no.
Okay. So, do you own your own... I'm assuming you don't own property, then. You probably rent.
Yes, I rent out... when I rent out basically a very small place with only just enough living space and a tiny little extra for where I do my experiments.
Or is
making
it the
things.
reverse? You rent out a workspace with a tiny little living area.
That would be more accurate.
All right. So, what kind of strange commissions do you take as an artificer? What is your modus operandi?
My modus operandi is when someone presents something interesting to me and I decide to make it for that case.
Such
So
as?
while I'm not very wealthy due to lack of doing work, at the same time, I'm known to do work that is at least pretty good.
What are some things
One
that
of
you
the
have
more
invented?
Well, one of the more interesting things I've invented was a very lovely brooch that, when applied in just the right manner, applied a certain electrical stimulus for bringing a heart attack in the victim,
Preventing one or causing one?
causing one.
Oof. So you make weapons. You make assassin's tools.
Not necessarily. I just thought it was a very interesting idea at the time and it'd be fun to make.
Okay. So, rather unscrupulous. Have you had any run-ins with the Flaming Fist? And is that how you met Brick?
From what I remember of Brick, I believe we met because someone asked me for help on an idea for a gun. And I think it just hit off from there, if I remember correctly. I know I drank a lot of booze that night, so it might not quite been that.
Have you had any run-ins with the law because of the things that you have made? Have you done time?
At the very least, I know that I've had to argue that I was never the one to actually use the device. I just merely made the device.
Nevertheless, that could be constituted as a crime in the right circles. So my question stands. Have you been on the wrong side of the law? Have you been incarcerated?
I believe that I was unjustly jailed for a short period of time, yes.
So the answer is yes. Okay. Interesting. Have you made any particularly noteworthy devices that have benefited mankind, human and otherwise?
Well, I have managed to figure out a way of creating a device that helps with curing painful wounds and poisons before.
Oh, interesting. So you have medical equipment.
Yes. I have medical equipment merely because it has proven useful, because some of my clientele, unfortunately, have either not been satisfied with their answers or decided that they wanted to make sure no one else could find where they found those answers from.
Ah, so you either live in a secret location or you move around a lot.
More moving around a lot, I would say.
From slum to slum.
Plus, honestly, sometimes places can just bore me.
So it could be then, as the game master, I could have a disgruntled client or some enemy appear and cause trouble for you.
I will admit some of my non-happy clientele are very dedicated to finding where I live, yes.
Okay. So, a day in the life of Sparky is you wake up, you push the junk off of your head, you climb out of your cot over the mounds of detritus, you check your mail, lots of...
That's not detritus, those are very important samples.
Of course they are. You check your mail with lots of red ink all over it, many things past due, many things final warning. You set aside what you can, you see if there's any orders in the lot, and then you see where inspiration takes you?
I would say that's a very fair assessment, although I would be throwing the red ink papers into a fire instead to help warm up the room.
Where does your inspiration often take you? It sounds like the bottle is the answer to that question.
It depends on whether I can find something that keeps my interest. If it cannot, then it can take me to the bottle.
All right.
But primarily, if it's something that I have never had any experience with before.
So
I have had medical teams come after me wanting to make more improved versions of the medical device, but it just didn't sound that interesting at the time because I've done something similar already.
Let's presume for a moment that Sparky is in the most forward point of time that Sparky has ever been in. Like, today is now, right?
Yes.
What is Sparky currently working on?
Sparky is currently working on a device that harnesses lightning magic to store within and then be set off by the user from a safe distance.
A shot grenade?
That may be a decent layman's term for it, yes.
Neat. So what would Sparky's reaction be upon looking through the mail to find a formal address sealed in wax to his person, directing him to the manor of Sindra Sylvain?
His interest would be at the very least piqued, but he has received, even if not quite so formal, he has done work for those maybe higher up. Unfortunately, such work, if known to Flaming Fist, would land Sparky in prison for a very long time.
Well, the letter is not a commission form. It's in fact a entreaty to appear at a certain date at a certain time to discuss, quote, a matter that affects all of the realm, end quote.
Sparky's curiosity would be at bare minimum piqued, for it is something new that has happened to him that has not happened before. An arched eyebrow, a thought, and maybe seeing if his current device is far along enough to just take some time out to see what this entreaty is all about.
So you would accept?
I believe I would accept just to see what would happen.
We'll cover it more in session 1, but I am curious, how would Sparky appear? Would he do himself up? Would he have a large pack of experiments to take with him on the case that Ms. Sylvain sends him on the road? Would he just pop right over immediately? Would he wait for the presumed time? How would this all play out in terms of structure for Sparky?
For Sparky, he would do what he would do normally on a day, which is he would make sure that he is wearing like decent looking clothes. He does not care about appearance beyond the fact that it may hinder his movement. So thus he only does the bare minimum to keep himself presentable. But his clothes are all decently well taken care of, firm, sturdy. And he does take along a small pack that does contain necessary tools and items if needed.
Okay.
Because again, he may never know when a clientele suddenly decides to show up and not be happy with him.
When would Sparky arrive? Would he arrive at the designated time? Would he arrive early? Would he be fashionably late? Would he be unfashionably late?
Sparky would arrive somewhat early to at least look around and make sure that there was nothing going on that he was not aware of.
Cool. All right. So it sounds like you're mostly ready then for our first session.
I believe I am, but again, I will admit first time, so
By all means.
we'll see how it goes.
Dr. Lorelei,
Yes.
let's talk about a day in the life of Dr. Lorelei. Do you live in Baldur's Gate, or are you here on business?
The doctor is here on business.
What business?
As mentioned, her interest is piqued in the idea of helping to cure this disease. People are hurting, people are suffering, so Dr. Lorelei feels a call to this place.
So you have heard, well, the affliction is not contained in Baldur's Gate. You have experienced it in your travels. As I understand it, Dr. Lorelei is basically a member of the Red Cross. She travels around and, like, helps where it's needed. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
So you would have experienced the the inner workings of this plague prior to the beginning of the game, and you would have received... Would you have received a summons from from Mr. Sylvain, or would it have been sent to the Brotherhood and you were assigned?
That's a good question, honestly, because I kind of feel like while she is good at what she does, she might still be fairly new.
Okay. Well, the Brotherhood is understandably small, as, you know, doctors aren't a big thing in the Middle Ages yet.
Yeah.
I would say there's, at absolute most, like 300 members of the Brotherhood total. So it is entirely possible that you were asked for directly, or that Mr. Sylvain sent a missive to the Brotherhood, and then you were chosen. And if you were chosen by the Brotherhood, the question would be why? The same question applies if Mr. Sylvain called for you directly. What sets Dr. Lorelei apart as a healer that would make her useful over her colleagues to Mr. Sylvain?
Who, for all intensive purposes, does not care who you are. If you are hurt, if you are dying, if you are sick, you are receiving her help, whether you like it or not.
Okay. I think it makes the most sense, then, that it was sent to... Because you said it yourself, she's new. She's not famous. It was sent to the Brotherhood, and the Brotherhood assigned the task to you to go to Baldur's Gate and speak to Miss Sylvain. Out of curiosity, was it to get some peace and quiet? Or was it because you were the best choice for the job? Is the Brotherhood taking this seriously?
I honestly feel like it could be either, because...
Well, what do you want it to be?
As in peace and quiet, what do you mean? Is it less of a...
You know what? Let's just send her to Baldur's Gate. We can work on these projects while she's gone and maybe get some sleep.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely what it was. Because Zuri would wake up at the ass crack of dawn and be like, hey, is there anything you guys need me to do? Why are you awake already? Because people need help. Go back to sleep.
Okay, so what we've established here is that Dr. Sue Lorelei is insufferable.
Somewhat, yes.
Good to know.
Oh, God.
Okay, so the letter arrives. So let's talk about, where do you... So you live at the base camp of the Brotherhood.
Yes.
Like, whatever that Institute of Higher Learning that trains doctors is, you live there, and you always jump at the chance to go out into the field and help people, and they're happy to give you the work because then they can stay in their labs, and also you're gone.
Yep.
So, describe for us the day. Are you just back from a previous thing? And then the letter comes in to go to Baldur's Gate. Have you been here a while and people are starting to hate your presence? Like, what's the deal?
It's probably definitely more the latter. She's been waiting for an assignment. She's been asking people, are things just not getting in on time? What's going on? And they're like, we have something asking for someone to go to Baldur's Gate. Actually, you go to Baldur's Gate. Wait, already? Yes, go.
So she just got back, and she's like, hi guys, I'm back. I'm ready to put my feet up and, you know, take a nice hot bath covered in, like, rain and mud. And I'm imagining, like, every other doctor in this place is, like, an alternate dimension version of, I am blanking on his name. Charles Darwin?
Oh, probably.
So everyone looks like a slightly different version of Charles Darwin in various forms. Like, there's a gnome Charles Darwin, and
this annoying ass Water Ganassi just came back.
Exactly, and they're all in, like, tweed coats, and they're all congratulating themselves on the papers that they just published. And then here comes freaking not Elizabeth Peters. What is her name? Elizabeth Peters is the author. I'm thinking of... What is Amelia Peabody Emerson. There it is. Fucking coming in. I'm back! Oh, fuck. Like,
Pretty much.
You're Amelia Bedelia is basically what we're establishing here today. So
this
yeah.
isn't their business, it is now.
Yeah, right. So they're looking for reasons for you to get out, and the letter comes in, and they're like, oh, it's another noble who's taken ill. Oh, but it's all the way in Baldur's Gate. Let's send. So Lorelai, of course, they don't tell you any of this. They're just like, we have an important assignment for you. It's out in Baldur's Gate. There's a noble who's taken ill. You should give her the utmost care. And do take your time, Doctor. Which, of course, means get the fuck out of our hair and don't come back anytime soon. But how naive is Dr. Lorelai, out of curiosity?
She kind of gets that she's a little overbearing, but she doesn't care. She just heard the words noble, important assignment, and she is slowly starting to grin ear to ear. She is bouncing on her heels. She is ready to get moving. Let's go, is what she's basically thinking. Literally, she's given the assignment. She's babbling out thanks. She's saying she'll do as instructed. She'll be back as soon as possible.
I'm not unmuted. I only have so many voices, Trace Care. So, it happens. So you travel... So where is... If you know anything about the Forgotten Realms, and you don't have to, but if you do... where would the Brotherhood be located? I'm thinking Neverwinter is a good choice.
Around the Neverwinter area, maybe a little outside of it, like, they can be found pretty easy, like...
If anyone has played Neverwinter Nights, you know exactly the area that I'm referring to. Okay, so you travel from Neverwinter up to Baldur's Gate. That's a bit of a journey. How do you travel? Do you travel by coach?
It would probably be a combination of coach and maybe a bit of walking whenever she gets sick of it.
So you're walking beside a coach with a long. Do you have a long-suffering intern that's driving the coach, or are you driving the coach? Or is there a porter who is also sick of your shit?
That's a good question, because honestly, I can see Lorelai wanting to do it herself, because this is like, oh, this is my big chance, this is my moment, so she'd kind of tell the porter, no, I got this, I can go on my own, but at the same time, she'd probably want someone to ramble too about how excited she is, and about how big of a deal this is.
Okay, so I think it would be most interesting if the Brotherhood intervened and made you go by yourself. You know, I'm sure you'll be fine. No one would attack a doctor on the road behind their hand, and if they do, it's not a great loss because you're annoying. Like, they send you, like, no guards, by yourself, driving this carriage up to Baldur's Gate. So you get to talk to the horses the whole time.
Yep, and any poor suckers she comes across.
Oh my god. So, does the trip take longer than normal because you're just, like, stopping in towns and, like, helping deliver babies and like, helping with, like, syphilis and shit?
Yeah, probably, actually.
How much longer does it take?
Give me a rough estimate on how long it would take to get from Neverwinter to Baldur's Gate on average. Like,
I have no fucking idea. I have no fucking idea. This is a question for chat. Does anybody in chat know about how long it would take to go via coach from Neverwinter to Baldur's Gate? So Squeaky says, I think she eventually feels the need for an assistant and intern and tries to recruit a succession of unlikely NPCs.
I've got a map up right now of the Sword Coast.
Mm-hmm.
If you can give me an idea of where Neverwinter is, I know where Baldur's Gate is on this.
It's 590 miles between the two. Thank you, Tradescare. So that would mean, like, traveling by coach. Coaches are pulled by horses. Horses can average... What's a fair average of a horse just, like, traveling? 30 miles per hour? Is that reasonable? That's probably fast, isn't it?
A lot of them.
That's probably fast. 15?
Yeah, probably more like 15.
15? Okay.
According to Wikipedia, a stagecoach traveled at an average speed of about 5 miles per hour.
Well, there we
Thrilling.
go. Okay. So, with good roads, 20 miles a day.
Well, it said the average daily mileage being around 60 to 70 miles.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. So, 590 miles divided by, let's say 60, which would be 9.8 days, or 10 days, and that's if you traveled constantly. However, you're only traveling at about, let's say, 6 hours a day. Is that reasonable, do you think, Sibs?
The rest of that would either be spent helping people or resting. There's no in between. She's either helping someone constantly or it's rest.
Right.
And
So
travel.
so give or take 6 hours of travel a day. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll say, so that would be 10 days would get you there if you went constantly. I'm trying to do some math. God, I'm always bad at this. So it would be 590 miles divided by 6, I guess. It would take 98 days. That's not right, surely. No, because I would need to do the speed first. It would be 590 miles. Shit. 590 miles divided by 60. Just double it, Squeaky? Wouldn't I have to multiply it by 4? Just double it, you think? So it would be 20 days. So it would be 20 days straight through. That's valid, Squeaky. So 20 days straight through, and then you're stopping for various things. So 5 miles an hour times 6 hours a day is 30 miles a day. Thank you, Squeaky. This is why I like people who do math, because I'm really bad at it. Cool.
So am I.
So 30 miles a day. So yeah. So are you looking at about a month of travel then, Sibs?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
Was there like a specific day they had to be there, or was it literally just get here as soon as you can?
It would have been get here. Dr. Lorelei will be the crooks that gathers the other party members. So it will be get there as soon as you are able. Also, I like that Achaicus says, and the locals here, there was a free doctor around. Who said free, friend?
Yeah.
Nobody said free.
Lorelei's way of doing things is pay what you can, because they still need to buy supplies. They still need to be able to keep their stuff
You're
up.
a servant of you're a servant. No, you're allied with the Temple of. Gamzee, help me out.
The Fountain of Life, isn't it?
I believe it was the Fountain of Life.
The Fountain of Life.
There's a goddess. There's a goddess that they're affiliated with. It's got a temple in Shoal, the beauty place. What's it called?
Yeah. Starts with an S, I think. I don't want to open your sheet, Scratch. Not right now.
Who's the Forgotten Realms goddess of beauty, chat? The point is, Dr. Lorelei, you're affiliated with them, and their whole thing is pay what you can.
That's something he takes as well. That I'm not going to ask you for your entire life savings to fix a broken leg. Are you insane?
Soon, thank you.
Okay.
Soon.
To me.
So you'll take a chicken, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, she'll take a chicken if that's what you can give.
So let's talk about some of the eccentricities you've picked up over this month. What are you going to roll up to Baldur's Gate with?
Supplies for sure. I kind of like the idea of her just being in this town, and they're like, but we have no money, and she's like, that's fine. What else can you give? And they just kind of shove a chicken into her hands.
Yeah.
This'll work. So she has a chicken.
You roll up to Baldur's Gate. You started in a carriage. You either swapped it out for or have the addition of a cart. And probably at least one cow. What is in the cart, dare I ask?
Oh no.
So we've established there is a chicken, a hen specifically, so you can have eggs.
Yeah. A hen.
Instead of horseshoes, maybe.
Instead of horseshoes. Do you have some like metal ore that you can get refined because you went to a mining town?
Oh yeah, absolutely. She probably would. She wouldn't have any use for it to be made into weapons, but she has it.
So here's what I'm thinking. Just for the sake of it, Sibs, I'm going to give you a handout. I'm going to make this handout. Pardon me, chat, I need to go off of this screen briefly, because sometimes Roll20 likes to put personal information in the drop-down menu. So I'm just going to fill this out really quick, and then I'll show you what I have. I'm going to call this 30 Days by Cart. And I'm going to put this in my journal and your journal.
Got it.
And what this will be is a list of things decided by the GM, the players, and chat of things that Dr. Lorelei has on her journey. It's a secondary inventory. So I think to start things off, to make things nice and simple, you, Sibs, choose 10 things from the trade goods section of the player's handbook, and just add those to the cart.
Let me look up what those are.
And while you're doing that, I will turn my attention to chat and say, come up with ideas and have them ready, because we're going to circle back to this before the end of the episode. So
this is going to be wonderful.
You do have a handout that you should be able to edit now, Sibs, if you want. So while you're looking at the player's handbook, let's circle back to Brick. Have you done your think, Vader? You ready to go?
Yeah.
Cool. So, is Sergeant Holderheck in charge of anything?
He's doesn't have a squad that he commands or anything like that. He's
okay.
Not high enough rank for that, but he does do like quartermaster work actually.
Oh, so you help with the quartermaster's like stock. So you like take inventory. Yeah. Your what is the soldiers or military affiliate people in chat? What is the acronym or initialism for the dudes who do inventory? I know there's a special name for it, and I've forgotten what it is. It's not R&D, duh. It's like, anybody? I know it's quartermaster. There's something else. QC? Is it? No, it's not QC. It's balls.
I'm trying to think of, and it's escaping me too.
There's a specific thing for it. It comes up in like Top Gun and MASH, and like I know these are fiction, but like there's a term for it, and I'm blanking on it. The point is, you're that. You're the dude who takes inventory and like checks stuff out. Battalion command, maybe. S3. That sounds closer to what I'm looking for. I've not heard S3 specifically, but yeah, something like that. Wait a minute. Is it literally just called Corps? Yeah, the Quartermaster Corps. It is Corps. Okay, I'm thinking of Corps. Sorry, I'm a dingle. Anyway, so do you just do general inventory for like the Baldian fortification, or do you do something specific? Are you the like... I know Quartermaster Achaicus. I was asking for the shorthand, which is the Corps. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Vader, do you just like do general inventory of the Baldian command, or do you have something specific? Are you like the powder keeper, like the cannoneer or something like that?
he'd be in charge of like cannon
Okay.
maintenance and stuff like that.
So you're slightly less quartermaster and almost more like artillery. Maybe you're the artillery quartermaster.
Yeah.
Okay. So describe for us a day for Brick. So you wake up at the Clarion, you do your morning like training exercises, you get breakfast, and then it's what, head down to the powder shed and make sure that like the powder is usable and everything's in place. See who needs what for practice or for otherwise like delegation for the day. Is that about it?
Let's check the cannons.
Oh, supply. They refer to it as supply. That's really useful to know. Okay, because I'm gonna steal that. Has the inventory control pointer ICP? Says Sir Squeaky. ICP might be what I was thinking of before, because that sounds right. It was an initialism. I just couldn't remember what it was. Medieval equivalent could be the Castilian. I maybe have spelled that wrong. I'm not familiar with that word. Anyway, do you have any like particular duties? Do you lead like the cannon drills, perhaps? Are there cannon drills?
That's a good question.
Are you trying to get like clearance to do cannon drills?
Well, like, I don't know if he's in charge of cannon drills, but
I mean, you're an officer. You're a sergeant.
yeah. I mean, yeah. So yeah, he would. Like, yeah.
Okay. So how big is the artillery regiment of like Baldur's Gate, of like the main fort? I assume there aren't many cannons and gunslingers in Faerun, and probably fewer still in a humanocentric encampment. It seems like a very dwarven thing, but you tell me how many like cannoneers or would-be cannoneers does Sergeant Holderheck train on a given day?
Probably only like a small squadron's worth.
Okay, so 3 to 5?
Yeah.
Okay. And in lieu of like fully functioning cannons, which I'm sure you have some, but let's face it, they're prone to exploding, do you also train like ballistas, trebuchets, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Sorry?
He's definitely he does train in the use of those.
Okay. Go ahead and you add artillery sights to your tool proficiencies. You can sight in a siege weapon. You're proficient with that. So what happens to get you called to the big boss man and assigned to go see Sindra Sylvain? Is that because of your rank? Or did you fuck up? Or is this an honor?
I think this is an honor. This is
for exemplary service. You get to like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is something he's interested in as well. He's interested in what the goings on in Chult. He's heard about this disease.
You don't know about Chult at the get-go. What I'm asking is what moves in the background to get Oscar's name to come up for the adventure in Chult. Before somebody comes up to you and says, Sergeant Holderheck, you need to report to High Command immediately. Like, what happens to get you in that situation? Castellan, a very good word. Castle keeper, maintainer of things of the castle. Thank you, Achaicus. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, and if I'm not, please correct me. Also, yeah, I think siege in general, Birchmila, battering rams, tunnel works, and the reverse, right? Siege defenses, I think, would all fall under the purview of Sergeant Holderhack. Better?
Maybe he was just the right guy for the job. Like, thoughts escape me again.
Okay. So it was something good that happened.
Yeah.
He was chosen to undertake more responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just general good performance, and he was chosen for the job based on his skills.
So, if I may, make a note somewhere on your character sheet that Oscar is due for military people. I'm sorry. Again, I'm gonna get this wrong. Is it due for performance review to get a promotion, or how? What is the specific terminology for that? I'm looking for, like, the thing when you know that you're about to be brought before a tribunal and they decide whether or not you get your next badge. What is that process called?
Typically called evals.
Evaluation? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or evals for short.
Yeah, so due performance reviews / evaluation. You're due for promotion, Brick. And maybe you think that's what this is until you wind up in high command and they're like, yeah, we know you're due. Go on this mission and do this other thing, because your thing is not solely Central Sylvain. You have other business in Chult.
Yeah.
You want to check in with the Flaming Fist and, like, get their fort shipshape and find out what's going on. And I think they're saying, like, I think you get the, like, do you have a CO that is, like, not necessarily a father figure, but somebody who respects you and that you respect? Do you have someone like that in the Fist?
Yeah. There would be someone like that.
Okay, because this is the first edition of AD&D. Dungeon Master Guide is an excellent reference for such things in a Forgotten Realms RPG settings. Cool. There's time in grade, time in performance. I'm not asking for the actual process, Kresker. I'm asking for the name of the process. So who is your... And you don't need to give me a name unless you have one in mind, but who is the person that would be like, put his hand on Brick's shoulder and be like, hey, you're due for a review, go make us proud in Chult, and we'll hook you up. Like, who would that guy be? Would it be another dwarf?
I'm gonna say no. It would probably be someone human.
Okay. Older? Like an older person?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean...
Thank you for the clarification, Achaicus. So, it just... I feel like this NPC could be important. So, if you were to describe this person, like, what would they do? And what would their equivalent rank be? Would they be, like, just a step above you? Or would they be, like, a colonel? For example.
Be more like first lieutenant.
Okay,
captain.
So a little bit above you.
Yeah.
But somebody who is, like... Are they a peer and they just got promoted first, or are they like a superior?
They'd be a superior, someone Brick reports to.
So a mentor figure then.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, help set the stage. Are they also a gunslinger? Are they an artillerist in terms of siege tactics and trebuchets, and they leave the gunpowder stuff to you because they're, like, getting old and that stuff is dangerous? Help me shape this character.
Yeah, like you said, they'd be more about siege weaponry and not really touching the gunpowder stuff.
Okay. So they leave that to you. They help you pick out candidates for the mortar team, but they don't really do the mortar stuff themselves. But you report to them on like siege stuff. And I think so here's a question. Is there somewhere that a siege is going? We don't need to know where it is. It never needs to come up. But for the sake of Brick's personal story, is there a siege going on somewhere that originally you think that your call to high command is for you to deploy out there and help with the siege? Is that interesting to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So you get the letter to go to high command. You go report to this mentor captain character, and he says that no, you're staying in the city. You need to go talk to Senator Sylvain. There's a matter of great urgency in Port Nyanzaru, and you're like, Port Nyanzaru, but I'm supposed to be helping out in da da da. And that's when, it like puts his hand on your shoulder. He's like, listen, Brick, you're due for an evaluation. You're gonna get your captain's bars. Go do this job to the best of your ability. It's gonna look great. I pulled some strings to get you this job, right? Like I threw my weight to get you this assignment, so do well, right?
Yeah.
And then so would Brick have that mindset of like, this is like, are you going to be the West Point graduate, like this is going to look great on my review, or is Brick's mindset like, yeah, okay, I can do this, I'm good enough, I'm going to be a badass, I'm going to throw my weight around? Or is Brick's motivation, do this for my Obi-Wan Kenobi?
It's more for himself. It's more for the experience of going to Chult,
Okay. But all of those things are in Brick's consciousness, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. When would you report to Senator Sylvain, and would you do it? Would you wear like dress clothes? Would you wear military dress clothes? Would you show up with extra goons? Would you show up with extra equipment?
Show up in military dress clothes.
Okay.
He wouldn't be like...
You're not going to drive a tank into her parlor.
No.
Okay.
He'd have his gear ready, but he's not going to go in his armor and wearing his gun on his side. Well, maybe he would still wear his gun.
So what is your intention with entreating with Senator Sylvain, knowing nothing about what she wants necessarily, though, as you said, you have been aware of the plague situation. Maybe even like your mentor is sick. That could be a thing. And like you're aware of it, and you know that Syndra is involved in it. But is your intention to go in and be like, I'm at your service, Lady Sylvain? Or is your intention like, okay, I have my orders, I need to report back to base, get my gear, and I'll be ready to go? Are you going to act as a go-between, or are you going to act as the point man on this?
Elaborate?
The elaboration is the things that I said right before I asked that question. I just condensed it.
Okay, he's more the go.
Okay. So you would have your stuff with you or nearby, and you're just like you're gonna be making the plays to like start the process, as opposed to reporting back to high command and being like, this is what Lady Sylvain wants, what do you want me to do? You're taking the initiative.
Ready to go.
Okay. When do you arrive? Do you arrive like as soon as you get the missive? Do you wait until the missive is like tells you to be there? What's the play there?
Ready to go at any time, but he's waiting until when it tells him to be there.
Okay. And you're meeting with the big guy. What's his name? I almost said Baldric. That's not right. You guys said it earlier. What's the leader of the Flaming Fist name?
Ethane.
Ethane. Your meeting with Ethane happens between your orders getting cut and you arriving at Manor Sylvain.
I should clarify, the page I found said that he was the founder and leader. I don't know if he's still the leader.
That name doesn't sound right. I know that, I'll just fucking look it up because I have a note here. Kit, pay attention, do your thing correctly. There's...
Founded and led by him.
Factions... Flaming Fist. Duke Older Ravengard is who you would speak to. Your meeting with Duke Ravengard comes between getting your orders cut and reporting to Senator Sylvain. With your permission, I would like to do that meeting at the end of Session 0 today.
Yep.
Is that cool? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Cool. So then you are ready, aside from that. Sibs, do you have your cart stuff ready?
Yes, I do.
Cool, let's see.
I think I did this right.
I don't see anything on your cart handout. You need to click save.
Whoops, my bad.
No worries.
I have not ever been given proper game notes before.
I will be giving everybody a journal. In fact, I might already have. Did I?
You did.
I did. Everybody has
Except
a
for her.
journal. Oh, she doesn't have one yet. I will get you a proper journal. So this is just a separate thing. This is just a separate inventory that you have. I still don't see anything on your sheet.
Did I do this wrong?
It's probably in her bio.
I did it in the descriptions and notes section of this, so is that something I might have done?
You just didn't save it. There you go. I saved it. Now it appears.
There.
So you have a hen, a pound of salt, a yard of canvas, a yard of cotton, 1 pound of copper, 1 pound of rice, 1 barrel of 4 quality ale, nice, 1 cow, salted meat, and 1 pound of root vegetables. Okay.
I want her to name the hen. I don't know what yet, though.
Henrietta, obviously.
Yes.
Are we, it's an important question. Are we going to have Henrietta during the campaign?
Yes.
Oh, yay.
Everything that we are putting on this list right now, Dr. Sue Lorelei rolls into Baldur's Gate with it. Now, do you have...
Chicken arriving to jolt.
Do you
I've
still
only
have...
known Henrietta for 15 minutes, but if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone else in this room and then me.
Do you still have the carriage, or did you swap it out for a cart?
By cart, would that still be able to be pulled by a horse?
Oh
or
yeah,
would
no.
that-
You're going from a coach carriage that you would get around the city of London in to a covered wagon that you would go to Nevada in.
Yeah, she probably swapped it out because
Okay.
someone else probably had better use for it.
So, chat, give us some more things to add to Dr. Lorelei's list, if you please.
Not sure.
Could you pull
who
the
was,
cart
but I
behind the
did-
carriage? Yes. Andrew Bender says we're bringing a cow to Cholt. I do not see any problems with bringing a livestock animal like that to Jurassic Park. I too have seen Jurassic Park, Andrew Bender.
That would actually be a really interesting scene to play out. Like, has anyone seen my cow? Distressed mooing. Oh, that doesn't sound good.
No.
Scratch the beat.
Meanwhile,
I think I found his leg
Meanwhile,
over here.
Okay, so add to your list a carved stone cup. And
Got
we'll see what other people have. What did you say, Hockey?
Oh, I was making a joke. I was just saying, it's like, to answer that question, I think I found its leg here.
Oh yeah. A literal sheaf of wheat. Okay.
I don't know who it was, but I heard someone
Wheat.
in the background give a pretty good recommendation.
A dull poorly in the likeness of Dr. Lorelei, crafted by a child. That's a good one, Squeaky. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stroke the ego of this woman even more.
She
A
may have acquired
collar
a
for the
donkey. There could have been something she needed to do, which was very expensive to replace the materials for. Okay, yeah, add a donkey. A nice hat that does not match any of your other clothes.
Yes.
A pair of boots and a patch for your coat.
Lorelei already has those, I think.
You get more. You get a new pair of boots.
Fair enough.
These boots were made for walking, and that's just what they'll do.
I could see flint and steel type thing or such.
A bag of marbles, I like. A basket of flowers, I like. One of those big ones that you have to carry in both hands. The basket weighs like 10 pounds. It's full of flowers, like wildflowers. That's great. Moonshine, absolutely. High-proof moonshine that you could use for sterilization. That's a fantastic one, Squeaky. You have a good bit of that. I'm going to give you 5 jugs of moonshine.
Literally, if Scratch or anyone tries to drink any of this, they are getting a very stern talking to.
Flint and iron, that's a good one, Hawky. Yeah. A joke book, but it's in a language you don't speak. Books are way too expensive. No way she has a book. Books are super expensive.
So, madam, for 1 barrel of your moonshine, may I offer you this device that induces heart attacks in people?
Yeah, right?
Oh, dear God, no.
I might take that from you.
No. No.
Heart attacks are humane.
So you have Henrietta. You have a cow. What do you name your cow?
Moobert.
I was gonna say Mushu.
Yes.
What
If
do
we
you-
get a goat, I have to make a reference to a goat my family member actually owns.
What do you name the donkey, and why is it Edward?
What?
Eddie Murphy?
Oh.
Oh God, Kit, why?
Because it's funny.
We're going with that. Because, yes.
I love my feet because I would have taken psychic damage there.
A pair of sheep bones that you play like an instrument. I like that one, Birch Mila.
He is a bard.
I'm just now imagining a scenario somehow like the donkey learns to talk and they just ask why.
Mr.
Like, why
Ed
not?
the donkey. I like that. Achaicus.
What happened? I couldn't hear any of that.
Mr. Ed the donkey. That's good.
Yes, Mr. Eddie.
2 bales of hay.
That makes sense. She has animals she needs to feed.
Yep.
I have a
And let's do one more really good one, chat. So think hard, and let's do one more really good one.
A potion?
Ooh, I was thinking a traveling distillery to make more moonshine.
You demand that you use it for medical purposes. I demand I use it when I'm bored.
Right?
It's basically going to be this entire party. I told you to do this medically. Yeah, but screw you.
Alembic. Yeah, you get like a traveling alchemy lab.
So how do you spell that?
Alchemy, Alpha Lima Charlie Hotel Echo Mike Yankee.
So it's like a traveling alchemy lab or like a traveling distillery.
Yeah, well, you could use it for both.
Got it. That works.
You can't use it.
It's
you
kind of
can't
like a
use
chemistry set. You can use a chemistry set to make booze if
Exactly.
you know what you're
You
doing.
can't make beer, but you can make moonshine.
This is gonna be magical.
I don't want to give her a cohort, Achaicus, because Cholt is deadly.
Well, fine, we're seeing the
is
cows
deadly and-
different.
Cholt is deadly and Lorelei is insufferable.
Also true. So did you get all that?
We're fine with seeing the cow
I
get
believe so,
eaten. We're
yes.
not fine with the orphan
Cool.
farmer boy.
Put that on your cart thing. And also, you don't need to use any of your rations in your journey, so you just have all this.
Sweet.
So yeah, so you have good. Okay. So that's gonna be hilarious.
People
When,
are, this woman's insane as she rocks into Cholt. Then they see the patch on her jacket and they're like, "Are they fucking kidding?"
She's riding a fucking donkey with a chicken in her arms.
okay,
No,
so
that chicken's on her head.
right. So Dr. Lorelei, what's great about this is you have official paperwork. You have, like, I'm an important doctor. So you're gonna roll up to fucking Baldur's Gate, and they're gonna be like, who the fuck is this refugee? And you're gonna hand over your doctor's, like, papers, and they're gonna be like, what in the literal hell?
She's medically trained and medically insane.
People can't pay with money, so I started to work with what they could give me.
Are you literally going to explain yourself to the gate guard?
Probably.
Okay.
Because she wants to look competent.
That ship has sailed, dear.
Yep, and she doesn't.
Company's check has failed before the roll even
Here's
started.
the thing. She hasn't even registered that she looks fucking insane. To her, this all makes perfect sense.
I mean, no, and the thing about it is, Sylvain will agree with you. Syndra Sylvain will agree with you. So, Syndra will put you up at her estate. You can be her doctor for like 3 or 4 days before the others show up. So, to that end, will you please make an investigation check for me?
Sure thing.
First roll of the campaign, right now!
Let's see how badly this goes. Or not. It's investigation, right?
It is investigation.
I'm just saying, if any of you try to drink anything but Tej, you'll get an earful from scratch.
Okay. So, for Decisive Action, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition modules, we do not show dice rolls. The GM can see the dice rolls, the players can see the rolls that they make, and chat can see every roll. But what you're not going to hear me do is say, oh, you rolled a 23, that succeeds. We're going to describe successes and failures, but we're not going to talk about specific numbers. So just keep that in mind moving forward. So that roll facilitates you being able to make a medicine check.
My God.
Oof.
How?
That doesn't sound good.
You can ask me one question about Syndra Sylvain's condition.
You're too distracted by the chicken.
Do I already know, like, what this is? Do I know, like, that this is the disease that has basically caused all the issues?
No.
Then literally all I can imagine Zuli really wanting to know is exactly how bad is this?
Okay.
And, like, to what extent can I help?
So, this is something that only Dr. Sue Lorelei will know at the beginning of this campaign. It's not a disease, it's a curse. The curse was laid upon the citizens of Faerun if they were brought back to life. Syndra Sylvain has relatively recently, been under the effect of a resurrection spell. After that happened, she began to develop these symptoms. It's like a wasting disease. And she theorizes that this is afflicting anybody who has been resurrected.
Do we know what the symptoms are?
You only get one question.
That's fair.
Sorry.
Nah, that's a good enough reason.
You do know the symptoms that Syndra Sylvain has, but I will explain them in session 1.
Gotcha.
Now, we need to wrap the show with Brick meeting with the head of the Flaming Fist. But first, we need to take a quick trip to Cholt, because it's only fair that we talk about a day in the life of Scratch Face of a Gold Coin. So, Scratch, you are in a vastly different circumstance from everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You are living in... I can't really compare it to an actual place. Maybe Port of Spain?
Maybe. It's... By all means, it's... Cholt is indescribable.
It really is. It's like one part like legend lore of African jungle, one part of like Southeast Asia, one part of Jurassic Park. Like it has notes of things that are familiar, but the combination exists only in Cholt.
Right.
So like it's a hodgepodge. It is a hodgepodge.
Mm-hmm. It's a legitimate melting pot.
So what is a day in the life of Scratch? Do you own your own home?
I'm
going to assume no, given what I know about Scratch.
I was gonna say, I don't think Scratch does.
Where do you live? Do you have like... So I guess this is the best place to start. Do you have an actual dwelling, or do you skate between inn rooms, or do you sleep on like the street? A town along the Silk Road. That's a very good example, Achaicus. Yes.
I think Scratch has preference on swapping between sleeping in some trees and sleeping in an inn room.
Okay. Now, when you say sleeping in some trees, I assume you still mean inside the walls.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So, a day of Scratch sleeping in the trees usually opens up with somebody throwing a bucket of water on him.
More than likely.
Okay, go on.
He'll always relax by the port long as he can for any newcomers. See who he can skim a little off the top of the coin.
You're an information broker. You want to know who's coming and going.
Right.
Okay.
And if there's anyone particularly, shall we say,
interesting?
Yeah, anyone particularly trickable, I guess is the way to put it bluntly.
Now, we previously, unfortunately we didn't stream this, but we previously had you do your information gathering roles already, I believe.
I do believe so, yes.
Okay. So you have your notes on that stuff. That's all fine and well and good. So you wake up. How late do you sleep if you have an inn room? First question.
If he has an inn room, I don't think he sleeps much longer than he has to.
Okay.
He's sure he likes the luxury of a bed and the comfort and ease of sleeping it gives him. But at the same time, extra sleep is extra money lost.
True.
And in Cholt, with a goal like his, that's a really bad idea.
Very true. So, you're sleeping in an inn room, you wake up early, you hit the markets, and then head to the docks. That's how that works, probably?
More than likely. Visit some friends, visit Madame Red, and then head down to the docks for the day.
So how would your routine change if you woke up to a letter under your door, which I assume is a rare occurrence?
Oh yeah. Pretty sure the last time he got a letter under his door was a death threat that was never followed.
Right? That you know of.
Right.
So,
either they couldn't afford the permit, or they just wimped out.
So would you ignore the letter? Would it be the focus of all of his attention? Like what's the play there?
It would be like those scenes in movies where someone like something happens in the room and the person huddles up on the bed and they just don't move for a while.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then eventually he would read it.
Okay. It's not a sealed envelope. There's no like name on it. And all it says, it's a little note card with just a couple of words on it. It says, I'm here to collect. And then the signature says, Prince Otamu.
You make one bet with a man and he never forgets it. God damn it.
And so what that will do is you will not know what Prince Wakanga Otamu wants you to do. You will arrive to find out what he wants when the others get there and are speaking to him. Scratch would receive that summons while the others were already in port, because they're going to arrive pretty early.
Right. That letter would be one of the few things that has ever thrown his schedule off.
Right.
So they'd pretty much end up, after finding out the whole situation, he'd go through the rest of his usual stick before, properly doing his job.
Is there anything that you feel needs touched on for Scratch, or are you ready to go? Because I know you've been working on Scratch for a while.
Yeah. Aside from a few questions I have on items that I've been thinking about. Not really.
Now is absolutely the time to bring that up.
Well, I remember we talked about getting some dice, weighted dice.
Mm-hmm.
And you said they'd run me rather hefty sum.
It would depend on the quality of the dice, but yeah.
And officially listed, dice are a single silver.
Aye, those are normal dice.
Right. Figure I'd just go with those for now if you're fine with it, and
that's fine.
Get them weighted later.
Okay.
Because I figure either way, using dice is probably going to end up leaving me with needing to do a sleight of hand check, and boy,
for sure.
This boy is going to have no trouble with those.
You say that, and yet chat can see what happened when Dr. Lorelei made her best check.
Yep.
Fair.
You say that, and then you're going to get immediately caught.
So anyway, do you have any other questions?
And a bit of an odd one for you. Do you have particular restrictions on multi-classing for this?
Not for this one. I do for Strahd, but not for this one.
Okay.
As long as you can justify it in the world. I am going to look very carefully at third-party entries.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's official Wizards of the Coast, and you can justify it, have at it.
Something I mentioned earlier, I'm looking into picking up Monk later.
Mm-hmm.
And to that same end, I'm looking at picking up Astral Self Monk.
You would need specialized training or some kind of magical event to have that happen, but if that's where you want to go, I can weave the story toward that. That's no problem. That's my job. That
might be an interesting discovery regarding the rock.
Cool. So we will burn that bridge when we come to it. In the meantime, players, let's open the floor to chat for some Q&A, and then we'll wrap up with a brief discussion between Brick and the leader of the Flaming Fist. So,
Woo.
Those of you gathered here in the audience today, before the curtain raises on the actual production of Crown of Fangs, if you have any burning questions for me or my players or their characters, now is the time to bring it forward. We're happy to answer anything that you have as a way of thanking you for stopping by for this session 0. What do you got? Birchmanlet says, why do I get the sense that Scratch has a roommate? I highly doubt Scratch has a roommate. Scratch is the type of guy who would kill his roommate. or be killed by his roommate, depending.
Motherfucker, did you touch my tej?
Pretty much. Birchmila goes on to say, question for all of the players, what is your character's biggest fear? Let's go down the list. Let's go down the list.
Been thinking about this as we've been talking.
Okay.
If this, like, okay, Brick doesn't know that it's a curse, but if this is affecting people who have been resurrected, he would know that his mentor figure had been resurrected once, and his fear would be losing them a second time.
Okay. Yeah, maybe they fell in battle, and maybe, like, Brick is the one who, like, got the cleric and, like, got them back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about Sparky? What's Sparky's biggest fear? You're muted, Honky.
Oh, sorry. Sparky's biggest fear, I would say his biggest fear is being prevented from loss of his mind or such, unable to do his stuff anymore, basically.
Losing his sense of self, losing his intelligence?
Yes,
so
that
like
would be his biggest fear.
Mind flayers, intellect devourers, aboleths, that stuff is like the stuff of his nightmares.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Dr. Lorelei?
For her, it's probably just straight up and down being of no help. Like, she can try, but if she stopped from trying, then it's a nightmare for her.
Okay. Ooh, interesting. And so stagnation, then, to put it in simplest terms. Okay. And Scratch?
Scratch.
Bodily harm?
Well, no. I think his biggest fear is honestly... I think it's full bore failure.
Total failure. Okay.
Total catastrophic failure.
Unrecoverable failure.
Like, all of his money is stolen, his legs are broken. Like, he's not afraid of dying. He's afraid of that fate worse than dying.
Being useless?
Right.
Okay. Interesting.
He's scared of the idea of all he's ever done is what he's doing, and if someone takes away his leg, he's done forever.
You literally just united the party with that sentence. Scratch now has a common ground with Lorelei, with Sparky, and with Brick.
Because they all want to be of use. They all want to be able to do their thing, and if not, then welcome to hell.
With that sentence, Guy Gamzee out of character, you just united the party. Thank you for that. Well done.
Like I said, I've been working on this character for a long time.
Hey, you did good. You're getting better with stage direction, too. Anybody else got questions? Anything at all, for the players or for me? Andrew Bender says, from losing all of his money to his legs being broken, that's a bit of an escalation. Not in Schultz, it's not.
Especially not with his goal.
Okay, because says approximately how many sessions are planned for this mission/series until we either don't want to play anymore or we finish the module. I don't really do things like that, Achaicus. We're going to meet every Monday until they die to the point where they don't want to make any more characters, or we finish the module. Whichever comes first. But it'll be every Monday night at this time, starting at 6 p.m. New York time and ending at latest at 11. And it will be rare that we will go that late.
Oh, I actually thought of a question I wanted to ask.
What's up?
Regarding Leslie?
Zuli Lorelei. Lorelei.
Yes. Regarding the good doctor.
Dr. Sue Lorelei, or Zuli is her first name.
Yeah.
So it was discussed that she was Genasi, but borderline elemental style.
No, she's a Genasi. I don't know what you're on about. She's a Genasi.
I remember a conversation a while back of something along the lines of, like, there's a mediation of Genasi, like...
In other systems, there is a delineation between like dragonborn and half dragons, but in elementals. There's not really that delineation in 5e, and it didn't really come up in Lorelei's final form. So no, she's just a Ganassi.
Okay.
Yeah, water Ganassi, if anyone's like particularly curious.
I also wanted to ask if there was any particular like issues she would have faced with that fact.
Probably, but we'll explore that at the table.
Other than it's a blue woman rocking into your town with the most ludicrous shit on the planet.
I mean, that's fair. So, Birchmila, I see your question. We're going to circle back to that. Sir Squeaky says, I have a question for the good doctor. How do you feel about tinkering or technology when it comes to both healing and creating things that need to be healed? So basically, how does Dr. Zuli feel about medical technology and about war machines?
War machine, she's a little more, I'm not for that, but when it comes to medical things, she is all down for if it helps. Again, Hippocratic Oath, if it hurts someone to help them, then that's a little more, But if it's something like a defibrillator, then she's like, that is very useful.
So, very progressive-minded in terms of technique.
If it helps people, then Lorelei is all about it, if she wants to help.
Super cool. Birchmila asks all of the assembled, what's your character's biggest vice? Brick?
Drinking.
Okay. Easy one, dwarf drinking. Sparky? You're muted again, Honky.
Sorry.
No worries. It happens.
I would say my character's biggest vice would be the thrill of... It would be gaining knowledge at any aspect, but it's like he doesn't care how he gets it, so it's one of those, like, even if it's a very suspect or such, he will go for it regardless.
So say avarice.
Yes.
Knowledge-based avarice.
Yes, I would say that in a lot of ways.
Okay. Interesting. Doctor?
I'm sorry. Is that Rashal at my door?
Right? Doctor? What's your biggest vice?
It's probably a bit of she's a bit insufferable. She's insufferable with a heart that's in the right place, but it still comes off as, I'm better than you. And
arrogance.
To a degree, she believes that.
Dr. House.
Yeah.
So arrogance. Okay.
Yeah. Like, what could you possibly know about medicine that I don't already know?
Yeah, right. Scratch?
I know how to give people heart attacks.
Then that's murder.
Scratch, what's your
Still
biggest
medical.
vice?
I think Scratch's biggest vice is how dearly he aims for what he's aiming for. Not specifically mentioning what that is for the sake of it seems more interesting to bring it up at the table first.
Fair enough.
It's one of those things that he has chosen to every once in a while save money instead of buying food or trying to take it. At times he's strived for his goal before he's strived for his own health.
So his biggest vice is he overworks himself?
Right.
Okay. I have that vice. I'm right there with you, Scratch. So I get it. So like a fixation or obsessive mentality. That's a good way to say that, Birchmila. I'm sure as hell obsessive. We got time for a few more questions. Sorry.
He's seen the life and he wants it, baby.
We've got time for a few more questions, and then we'll wrap up with a brief scene between one of our characters and one of the faces that you probably won't see in the story proper.
No.
If anybody has anything else they want to talk about, now is the time. Remember, we won't be interacting with chat nearly this much when the game is actually live. So if you have any questions in session 0 or, during the off time is the best time to bring that up. If you have questions at the table, or rather, if you have questions during the session, if they're relevant to the plot and there's someone in chat who can answer them, fair enough. But at the same time, if you poke me or poke Gamzee or whatever during the game, we're probably not going to respond to you. So do keep that in mind moving forward. Ah. Excuse me. If nobody has any other... Oh, here we go. Never mind. Parchmento says, if your character couldn't do what they're doing right now and had to stay home and take care of someone, what would they do instead? So if your character wasn't an adventurer, what would they do? I mean, for most of these, I think the answer is kind of already baked in. Like Brick, for example, if he couldn't go to Cholt, he would still be a soldier in Baldur's Gate and would probably be helping the Flaming Fist War effort elsewhere, I assume, Vader. Is that right?
Yeah.
And
like if he wasn't able to like go into combat or anything, he'd have practiced, his artisanship.
yeah, he's a life, like, you're a lifer for soldiery, I assume. If you couldn't be a Doctor Soldier guide, interestingly enough, a lot of this party is really tied to that, which I see why you're asking that question, but I would hazard that you're not going to get a satisfactory answer from this group. I welcome the players to prove me wrong, however.
I think my character, assuming he was one before and then something happened afterwards to prevent him, and he was aware enough to realize what happened, he'd probably be looking for a way to painlessly end his life, quite frankly. He would not be very happy. He would not be able to do it anymore.
Go ahead, Sid.
If Dr. Sorry.
I said go ahead, Sid.
If Dr. Lorelei lost her license, it would literally just be a matter of, well, I'm useless. I'm going to go mourn and bang my head against a wall and then try to figure something else out. But nothing will ever be as satisfactory as her attempts to be a doctor.
Again, this is a very profession-centric party. The question is, yeah, not a good one.
I can tell you exactly what happens to Scratch if he enters that absolute failure moment.
A long walk over short pier?
More so a large leap into a deep pit, but yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that all of the characters, or at least most of the characters, have that in common.
I'm doing what I love or else I'm dying. Bye.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's interesting. That's really interesting. And it's going to be fun breaking that. I'm just saying.
God, if we encounter that situation, Scratch is going to look at the good doctor and go, "Excuse me, is it the sedatives you gave me, or am I missing a leg?"
Right. We'll see what happens. So, yeah. Achaicus says, "Can you live any other way?" It's a good question. The answer seems to be a resounding no. So, Tomb of Annihilation, Decisive Action Crown of Fangs, is set to premiere, frankly, whenever I get the art for it. I have not yet commissioned the art for it because my artist is currently working on like 4 other projects. So as soon as something opens up, I'm going to get the ball started for this, then give or take 3 weeks for all of the art to come together. And then we'll start. We're looking at mid to late July right now. It might be sooner, it might be later. We've already had to push the series back once. But it's coming up, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. What this means for you guys is after tonight, you don't need to be here. I'm going to be doing prep work on Monday nights for Tomb, messing with... there's a lot of random tables in Tomb of Annihilation, so I'm going to be messing with those. I'm going to be building encounters. I'm going to be like working on voices and getting NPCs squared away that are relevant to the party. Like, I need to make Madame Red from scratch, for example, and for scratch, for that matter. But... you guys get Mondays off until we go live, unless you want to be here or you want to like work on your character's personal stories or whatever, which is fine. I will absolutely allocate time. You are welcome to join me on Monday nights if you want. For tonight, I would like to just kind of show my narrative style a little bit and help one of my players who seems to be struggling a little getting into the head of his character before we go. So, Vader, if you wouldn't mind, and I don't mean to put you on the spot like that, but if you don't mind, I would like to just kind of narratively move through a conversation with Brick, and I have already forgotten his name, Duke something or other. Duke.
I've got the page still up. Older Ravengard.
Duke Ravengard, thank you. So, I don't have a lot of information on Duke Ravengard, which means I'm going to kind of make him up myself, which means that I'm probably going to get it wrong, and frankly, I don't care. So, you are in Baldur's Gate. It's mid-afternoon, I would say early afternoon. You've just, finished your lunch when your orders got cut. You've done your rounds for the day. You have just exited the enclosed, fort office / armory that your mentor keeps, and just been told that you're going to go report to Senator Sylvain. And you have a mind of going and getting whatever preparations you need for that. You don't really know what the meeting is going to entail. You just know that it is an important job for the Flaming Fist, and your mentor pulled some string to get you there. As you're exiting the central keep of the Flaming Fist fortifications in Baldur's Gate, with the intent of... Actually, you tell me, what is your intention? Is your intention to go to the quartermaster's office, your barracks room, or somewhere personal to give it a good think, mull things over, and prepare for this meeting with a noble? Is your thoughts of a hot bath, for instance?
His thoughts would be of working while he thinks.
Sorry?
His thoughts would be of working while he thinks.
Okay. So that would be the cannon battlements? You're heading up?
Or the quartermaster's place,
Or the quartermaster. Well, which is it? I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah, more just heading towards the quartermaster's.
Okay, so you're heading to the quartermaster's office. Moving through the halls, we can see the big Flaming Fist banners. Most of the halls are dark because it's a big stone keep with natural lighting and torches, but even still, it's pretty dark. Anybody who has seen a castle in, fiction or been in an actual castle, that it's pretty dark on the inside. Most of the Flaming Fist are humans. I'm curious, what is Brick's opinion of humans? What is Brick's opinion of other dwarves? Because you would be aware of the Flaming Fist opinion of dwarves, and for that matter, the non-Flaming Fist acceptable races. Basically what I'm saying is Brick a racist?
No. He's cautious of humans, but he's not, distrusting. If that makes any sense.
You know that you're looked down upon because you're not a human.
Yeah.
Achaicus says, would you like a link to the bio of the Duke? I will be looking at it after today. I just didn't have it prepared. But again, the Duke isn't a major character in this, so I don't really think it's important. But I appreciate it, Achaicus. I do. I don't have time to read over it anyway. Right now, anyway. I'll be reading over it later. Anyway. But yeah, you're aware of the way that the Flaming Fist sees you. You've been a sergeant for a bit, too long. Right? Maybe you've tried to get evaluated, and it's not that your evaluation has been refused. It's it won't be even brought to the floor because you're a dwarf.
Yeah.
How does Brick feel about that?
Honestly, it does cause some resentment, but he keeps his head up, keeps pushing. He's not starting fights or anything because of it,
Okay, fair enough. So what I'm getting at is maybe Oscar is a little bit on the old side for when a sergeant, a lifer sergeant would normally be. He's been passed over a few times, so he's probably the oldest sergeant in the base, so to say. I get he is a dwarf and they're long lived anyway, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So on your way to the quartermaster's office, I think we hear, for those of you who may be joining us for the first time, I have a very cinematic way of describing things. I like to use literally cinematographic terms. I will discuss camera angles, and we'll discuss set pieces, and one second. And we'll talk about like actors and costumes and framing and stuff like that. And I think we see Brick like marching, because I assume you're marching through the halls of the Baldur's Gate keep, stern face, thinking about work, thinking about what he has to do, going to put himself forward. And then we smash cut to like multiple pairs of boots walking the other way in a similar looking hallway to where you are. Like 3 or 4 people walking shoulder to shoulder, and we cut back to Brick walking along, and we cut back, we see like from the legs down these individuals in uniform, and eventually we see Brick stop, not where he wanted to be, just stop in the hallway, because blocking the hallway in front of him are these 3 officers. You don't recognize them immediately. They're not like somebody that you work with on day-to-day basis, but they're in like dress uniforms. And the one in the middle is holding a black pillow with red lining on it, and on it is a card. What is Brick's expression being confronted with these men?
Do they outrank me, first of all?
Yes.
He's formal, he gives them a salute, he's at attention, and basically goes something like, Sergeant Holderheck, is there something you needed, sirs?
Thank you, okay, because I already looked at that, and it was pretty much where I had in mind anyway. Cool. So the one in the middle, he says, the 2 on either side salute you. The one in the middle can't, because he's holding the cushion in both hands. But he nods sharply, and he says, Sergeant Oscar Holderheck, yes?
Indeed.
Hello?
In one moment, let me turn off this noise suppression because it seems to be catching me trying to talk sometimes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, sir.
And he nods, and like he holds out the cushion, and then you're substantially shorter than he is because you're a dwarf. So he like pauses, kind of, you see him do that thing that soldiers do where he's thinking about how to do this. And then he just like goes down on one knee and holds the cushion and the card out to you. And he says, a summons, Sergeant. Directly to Duke... What is his name? Duke Ravengard. I almost said Ravenloft. To Duke Ravengard's chambers. Immediately.
Brick's a little wide-eyed at this. But he takes the card and says, yes, sir.
Stands up, puts the pillow under his arms. All 3 of them salute, and then like turn in unison and start to walk away. Also, Ravengard looks like a badass. I'm actually going to show... If I have a handout for older Ravengard, that's going to be amazing. I don't think that I do, but I'm going to check because this guy looks awesome. I know there's a handout of him in Descent into Avernus that uses this same picture, which means I know that this picture is the one used in 5th edition. But I don't think I have it for this. So I'm just going to show this on the stream anyway. This is the dude that you're going to go see. You're going to have to watch the stream to see this. I can't post it in Roll20, but this is the boy. This is the boy here.
Unfortunately, my internet has still been very much disliking Twitch.
Ah, that's a shame. I will save the image and post it backstage.
I have his wiki page up.
Okay,
so
then yeah, it's that picture. That guy looks like a straight badass. Anyway, so you have this card, and it says basically what the thing says. It's an official like summons, like on military letterhead and everything, and it says like, yeah, Sergeant Oscar Brick Holderheck, or it probably says Sergeant Oscar Holderheck, so-called Brick, due to report to the office of Duke Older Ravengard, High Flame of the Flaming Fist, at so and so time, which is in like 15 minutes.
Okay, yeah, he's like pretty much immediately on his way.
Okay, so you change direction. What is going through Brick's mind? Like, what could this be?
He's really excited. He doesn't know what's going on, but like maybe this is the promotion he's been waiting for. Maybe this is something special.
Okay. So we I think we like crossfade from Brick walking along the halls at a faster pace now to standing outside these big double doors, guarded by like flaming fist dudes with halberds crossed in front of the door, because that's always amazing iconography, right? And you walk up, and I think we pan down as Brick walks up. How do you introduce yourself?
He salutes them again and says, Sergeant Holderheck, answering a summon from Duke Ravengard.
They don't respond to you. They just like pull their halberds back and the doors open on their own, because again, amazing iconography. Inside we see like a grand, the office is bigger than the supplies that are used for the office. Like there's a desk with a lot of space around it, and like two bookshelves super far apart. You have to like, especially because you're a dwarf, you have to take several steps to get into the office. It's laid out kind of like how the Oval Office is laid out, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Big windows in the back looking out over Baldur's Gate, and behind the desk we see Duke Ravengard in his uniform and his armor, with his gauntlets clasped behind his back, facing the window as you come in, looking out over Baldur's Gate in the noon sun. And we see Brick walk in, and the doors like ominously, sonorously, that's the word I was looking for, like close behind him. Have you met Duke Ravengard before, Brick, out of curiosity?
No.
Okay. So this is like meeting the president. Like, this is a big deal. What do you do? You are not close to him. There is like literally like 10 yards between the door and the chair for guests. Like, you have to cross this room.
He's nervous. But he walks across the room and stands at attention.
Are you wearing armor currently? Are you wearing like metal armor?
He's like wearing fatigues.
Okay, so your boots still like echo hollowly in this big open room because there's nothing to muffle the sound. And Duke Ravengard doesn't turn. He's still looking out the window. You walk up to the chairs and like stand there. You like salute. He doesn't react, and you have to stand there for a second before he reacts to you. Do you say or do anything to get his attention, or do you wait?
He says, Sergeant Holderheck, reporting to your summons, sir. He's stuttering. He's nervous.
Right. Again, the Duke does not turn from the window, but he says, and I think like, I always imagine that Dungeons and Dragons, and when I say Dungeons and Dragons, I mean Dungeons and Dragons, I don't mean tabletop games, but I always imagine Dungeons and Dragons as animated. Like, to me, it looks and plays better as a cartoon in my head. And so, like, I don't think Team of Annihilation is any different. I think it's animated in a similar style to Prince of Egypt, right?
Yeah.
Which would make Duke Ravengard look a little bit like the guy, like the way they drew Ramses. And I love that image. And he's voiced by Keith David. Like, he has to be, right? And And I think I'm not gonna try to do his voice because again, Keith David, I cannot do that voice. But he like holds one hand up, in like the parade stop gesture, but he's facing the window, not you. And he says, "What do you see beyond these walls, Sergeant?"
Ooh. There are many lands outside Baldur's Gate, sir. There are many other cities and settlements, many places of intrigue and danger.
And what is our duty?
To protect Baldur's Gate, to drive out the wickedness from within these walls, isn't it, sir?
He claps his hands behind his back again, and he turns to face you. His very serious face, stern countenance. And you can see he wasn't expecting a dwarf. It's very slight, but he looks above your head and then turns his gaze downward very slightly. And he says, "It is in the oath that you swore to purge the darkness wherever it rears its head, to protect those in the light in all forms, be it in Baldur's Gate," he pauses for dramatic effect, "or elsewhere."
Yes, sir. Of course, sir.
Have you studied your geography, Sergeant?
I am familiar with most of it, sir. Most of the lands of Faerun.
Where is Fort Balerion located?
The Isle of Chult, sir.
Good. And who is in command of the fort?
I should know this.
Would you like to make a history check?
Yeah.
Feel free. You cannot recall. Something about his gaze makes your mind blank out.
I cannot recall, sir.
He narrows his eyes at you. You see his nostrils flare as he inhales. Blaze Liara Porter, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
And who does a Blaze report to?
Reports to the Marshal, sir.
He nods, like that's a satisfactory answer. Tell me, he turns back to the window. Can a man, for all of his accomplishments, exist in two places at once?
No, sir.
What then must a man do if rank and station require that he be in those places?
I do not know, sir.
I haven't even reached for my sword, Sergeant. Why the tongue? It's in more knots
sir?
than a cat's cradle.
Apologies, sir.
In such a time, a man must find a means to be in those places. If not in person, then in voice and deed. Is this not so?
Yes, sir.
He nods, still facing the window. I understand, Sergeant, that you have obtained orders to assist a noble of Baldur's Gate, one Syndra Sylvain. I also understand that Lady Sylvain has recently taken ill. Has this reached your ears?
Yes, sir. Or at least I've heard rumors, sir.
Do you know what with?
No, sir.
No. He turns back around, puts both of his hands on his desk. There is a plague, Sergeant. A plague afflicting those whose time draws near, whose hourglass begins to lack sands, and those who have turned it over. He narrows his eyes at you. You know he's talking about your mentor.
Uh-huh. I understand, sir.
It is my belief that Lady Sylvain suffers such an affliction and is looking to cure it for herself, though others will be affected by that cure. And that is what she will preach. Make no mistake, Sergeant, she is ill.
He nods.
We have reason to believe that she is seeking certain individuals for an expedition to the southern continent. I see no reason to deny her escort, and while you're there, you can act in my stead. Is this not so?
Yes, sir.
Good. You will give Lady Sylvain the full power of the Flaming Fist, should she require it. However, you will go no further than your oaths dictate, and your true objective is to monitor Fort Balerion, receive a report from Blaze Porter, and report back to me, all while upholding thought and action in my name. He relaxes.
Yes, sir.
I understand you're due for a promotion, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
It is also my understanding that there are those beneath our banner, bearing our colors, with an agenda. And to those, you do not apply. Is this not so?
You completely cut out for me there.
Basically, he said, I know there's races in the Flaming Fist. You know it too. They're affecting you. Is this not the thing?
He looks down and nods shortly. Yes, sir.
Perform this task well. Bring those necessary into the light. Burn away the darkness of the southern continent in whatever form it takes. And I will give you Porter's posting.
Understood, sir.
You are dismissed, Sergeant.
He salutes him.
He salutes you back.
Then walks out the way he came.
Mm-hmm. So in no uncertain terms, the end game for Brick is to take over Fort Balerion.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun, Vader. And that is going to be our session 0. I'll have an overlay, I'll have art, I'll have music for the main game, but that is just a taste of what is coming in Dice-Icive Action Crown of Fangs. We're going to get out of here. Get out of here and do some quick shout-outs before we go. Vader, give us a shout-out, please.
Again, I am Journeyman Vader. You can find me over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/JourneymanVader. I would do occasionally play more story-driven games on there, with a focus on the world building, the lore, similar but slightly different to what Kit does here.
Hey, the more the merrier. I don't want a monopoly.
Hmm.
You excited?
Yeah, I am.
Good. Sibs?
Hi, I'm Sibs. I'm, as mentioned, a bit of a lurker on Kit's channel, but I can be found there on occasion. I draw, I create things in general. If you ever need any advice or any help on anything, hit me up.
You excited for this game?
Oh, you have no idea.
Good. Hockey.
Hello, as I said before, I'm a Intangible Hawk, and I draw, I program for a living. I am looking forward to getting started on this game and figuring out all the ways I can drive the doctor mad.
Yeah, right?
Rude. Very, very rude.
Well, I am excited to have you on board, Hockey, and I will see you next time. Gamzee? Gamzee is muted.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the bard in training, Guy Gamzee, and I'm always here at your beck and call till I get my very own mask and thereafter. If needed, for any reason such as book recommendations, movie recommendations, I help with an idea or story, I can be found in the library or in DMs. And speaking of DMs, if you still have any questions regarding hitting the books that myself and Kit have been doing, do send me your questions soon so I can notarize them and have them ready for the next show.
You excited for this show?
Oh my fucking god, are you kidding me?
Good. For my part, I am the sharp-eyed Kitsune, the teller of tales and the weaver of mysteries, the masked bard. This is a channel that is ever devoted to lore and storytelling, world-building, role-playing, and discussions of those things. So if that's to your fancy, you're in excellent company here, and I do hope that you enjoyed your time with us. Fret not, because I stream every single day that my health permits me to do so. Unfortunately, that does get in the way randomly and more often than I would like, but every day that I am here, I'm starting at 1 p.m. New York time or established stream time, depending on what you want to follow, with video games in the afternoon, and then we're rolling with Advantage in 2020, which is 2 chances to get to given stream, and something tabletop related in the evening. Tomorrow night, we've got Grand Mastery Preparations. It's a show mostly from me, so I can update my notes for the various campaigns that we do, update overlays, build encounters, and several things like that. We need to put the Moonlight Toccata overlay together tomorrow, as well as make some preps for both Silver and Steel and Into Waterdeep. So stop by if you like tabletop role-playing games, or if you don't know if you like tabletop role-playing games. We would love to have you. For now, it's getting late, and I've been exhausted all day, but while I'm gone, I'll be hosting someone. It's someone who I like, someone who I hope that you all will like, and can spread some of the love that was felt here today over in their channel. And check back here, because I'm always hosting someone, and you might find your new favorite streamer that way. For now, as ever, it's time for me to leave you with these parting words. From myself, my keepers, and those joining me on the stage this evening, to all of you, the regulars, the followers, the newcomers, and the lurkers, whether you're just having a seat by the fire or you've got a running tab at the bar, remember, there's always more stories to tell, and hopefully, I will see you all tomorrow as we get back into Neo 2, we prep in the evening with Grandmaster preparations, and a new chapter. Good night, you guys. Thank you so much for stopping by, and hope to see you again soon.